Hey there, listeners. Welcome to another episode of the English Boost podcast. I'm Sarah, your host, here to make learning English fun and practical for your everyday life.
And I'm Chris. We're so excited that you're joining us today. Whether you're tuning in from your living room, on your way to work, or even out for a walk, we're happy to be part of your day.
Today, we're going to talk about something that can really change your life in a simple but powerful way: the power of positive thinking.
Yeah, today's topic is about something that can have a huge impact on your life: thinking positively. It's not just about feeling happy, it's how you see the world, how you react to problems, and how you bounce back from challenges.
Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever had one of those days where everything just seems to go wrong? Maybe you spilled your coffee, missed the bus, or forgot your keys at home. Ever notice how one small thing can make the entire day feel like a disaster?
Oh, I totally know what you mean, Sarah. There was this one time when I spilled my coffee all over my shirt in the morning. It wasn't even a big deal, just a little stain. But instead of thinking, it's no big deal, I can handle this, I started thinking, this is just the worst day ever. And guess what? The whole day got worse because I kept thinking that way.
Exactly. It's so easy for one small thing to ruin your entire day. But what if we could change that? What if we could train ourselves to think differently, even when things aren't going our way? That's what positive thinking can do for you.
Right. And don't worry. It's not about pretending that everything is perfect. Positive thinking is more about how you handle challenges, not avoiding them.
So, Chris, let's start with the basics. What does positive thinking really mean?
Good question, Sarah. Positive thinking is about focusing on the good in a situation, even if it's tough. It doesn't mean ignoring the bad, but it's about finding what's still okay or what you can do about the situation.
Yeah, I love that. Let me give you an example. Let's say you had a test, and you didn't do as well as you hoped. A negative thought might be, I'm terrible at this, I'll never get better. But a positive thought could be, okay, I didn't do great this time, but I can study smarter and do better next time.
Exactly. It's about not letting one mistake define you. And the best part, positive thinking is not just good for your mind, it's also good for your body. Did you know that when we think positively, our brain actually releases less cortisol, which is the stress hormone? That helps us feel more relaxed, less tired, and even healthier.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. It makes sense, though. When we feel more positive, our body reacts better. Plus, positive thinking isn't just good for your health. It can also improve your relationships and work life. People are naturally drawn to others who have a positive vibe.
Oh, totally. No one wants to be around someone who's always complaining. Positive people tend to inspire others, and that can open up all kinds of opportunities.
But here's the thing. Before we can start thinking positively, we need to notice when we're thinking negatively. This can be harder than it sounds because negative thoughts often happen so quickly, we don't even realize it.
Yeah, it's like an automatic reaction. For example, if you make a mistake, do you ever think, I'm so dumb, or I can't do anything right?
Oh, for sure. Those are classic examples of negative thinking. Words like always and never are big clues. If you catch yourself saying something like, I always mess up, stop and ask yourself, is that really true? Have I never succeeded at anything?
That's a great tip. Once you notice these negative patterns, you can start changing them. Instead of saying, I'm terrible at this, try saying, I'm learning, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Yes, it's about being kind to yourself. Think about how you would encourage a friend. You deserve that same kindness from yourself.
So how do we actually make positive thinking a habit?
One thing I like to do is keep a gratitude journal. Every night, I write down 3 things I'm thankful for. They don't have to be big things. Sometimes it's something simple like, I had a great cup of coffee, or I finished all my tasks on time. This really helps me focus on the good stuff even on tough days.
I love that idea. Focusing on what's going well can really shift your mindset. I also try to practice positive self-talk. For instance, if I'm nervous about a presentation, instead of thinking, I'm going to mess up, I tell myself, I've prepared well, and I'll do my best.
That's so powerful. And don't forget about visualization. Athletes use this technique all the time. They picture themselves winning or performing well. For us, it could mean visualizing ourselves speaking confidently in English or achieving any goal we set.
I do that too. Before big events, I imagine everything going smoothly, and it really helps me feel more prepared and confident.
Here's something we often forget. The people we surround ourselves with can really impact our thinking. Have you ever noticed how spending time with a negative person can bring you down, even when you started the day feeling great?
Oh, absolutely. I had a colleague once who would complain about everything: work, the weather, even lunch. After a while, I noticed their negativity was rubbing off on me. I'd leave work feeling drained, not because of my work, but because of the bad energy around me.
That's why it's so important to surround yourself with positive, supportive people, whether they're friends, family, or coworkers. These people can lift you up when you're feeling down and help remind you of what's possible.
And for those who feel like they don't have that kind of support right now, don't worry. You can find positivity in new communities, clubs, or even online groups. Volunteering is a great way to meet people who share your values.
Yes, and here's a quick tip for spreading positivity. Try giving compliments or saying something kind. It's amazing how a simple, "you're doing great" can brighten someone's day, and yours too.
Now, let's be real. Even with all the positive thinking in the world, life can still be tough. So what do we do when things go wrong?
That's a great question. The key is to see setbacks not as the end of the world, but as opportunities to learn. Instead of thinking, "I failed, I'll never succeed," you can think, "This didn't work out, but now I know what I can do differently next time."
I love that. It reminds me of the famous quote from Thomas Edison: "I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work."
Exactly. And another big part of handling setbacks is self-compassion. It's okay to feel disappointed, but don't be too hard on yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat a friend, with kindness and encouragement.
So true. I like to ask myself, what can I learn from this situation? It's a simple question, but it helps me focus on growth instead of getting stuck in the mistake.
Now, there's also something we should talk about: toxic positivity. Have you heard of it, Chris?
Oh yes, it's when people try to be overly positive to the point where they ignore real problems or emotions. Like when someone says, just stay positive, without understanding that you might actually be going through something tough.
Exactly. Toxic positivity can feel dismissive, like your feelings don't matter. But healthy positivity acknowledges challenges while focusing on how to move forward.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today: how to build positive thinking, handle challenges, and create habits that last. But before we wrap up, here's the big question. How do we make positive thinking a lasting habit?
For me, it's all about starting the day with a simple affirmation, like, "Today is a new chance to grow." It sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yes, and consistency is key. Small habits like writing in a gratitude journal or practicing mindful breathing can make a huge difference if you stick with them.
And don't forget to check in with yourself regularly. Ask yourself, am I focusing on the good? Am I being kind to myself? If you notice negativity creeping back in, don't get discouraged. Just gently guide yourself back to a positive mindset.
Remember, positive thinking is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, but every small step counts.
Before we go, let's do a quick vocabulary break.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlotte, here to break down some key words from today's episode. Vocabulary: gratitude, meaning feeling thankful or appreciating something good in your life. Example: I feel gratitude every morning when I see the sunshine. Resilience, meaning the ability to recover quickly from difficulties or tough situations. Example: even after losing the game, she showed resilience by practicing harder for the next one. Self-talk, meaning the inner voice in your head that talks to you about yourself or your situation. Example: my self-talk today was very positive and it helped me stay calm before my presentation. Visualize, meaning to imagine or picture something in your mind. Example, before the race, I like to visualize myself crossing the finish line. Cortisol, meaning a hormone that your body releases when you're stressed. Example, too much cortisol can make you feel tired and anxious, so it's important to manage stress.
That was really helpful, Charlotte. Thanks for breaking down those words.
For sure, Charlotte always makes it so simple to understand new vocabulary.
All right, listeners, make sure to practice these words in your conversations. You'll be amazed at how quickly they become a part of your vocabulary.
Now, what's the biggest takeaway from today's episode, Chris?
I think it's this. Positive thinking isn't about ignoring problems. It's about how we respond to them. By focusing on solutions, practicing gratitude, and being kind to ourselves, we can build a mindset that helps us grow, even in tough times.
Exactly. And remember, listeners, small changes lead to big results. Start with just one positive habit, like writing down 3 things you're grateful for, and see how it makes you feel. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the English Boost podcast. We hope it inspires you to start thinking positively and living your best life.
Until next time, stay positive, keep learning, and take that leap.